All right, Mr. Erik Cabral, welcome to the Happy Hustle Podcast, my brother. I am super excited to connect.
I'm so happy to be here, man.
Yeah, this is going to be a fun one. I mean, you're a serial entrepreneur, you're an investor, you're into real estate, you're a podcaster, you build brands, you got a lot going on, Erik. But for today's conversation, I'm really excited to talk about podcasting, personal branding, and all things your mission, which is very interesting. Before we get into all that good stuff, what is something interesting about yourself that we can actually, talk through that maybe not too many people know?
Yeah, not too many know, except for friends and family, I guess. But I'm a musician, mainly a drummer. So I've been drumming since I was probably, I'd say 7 or 8 years old. Yeah, so all self-taught. I never took lessons or anything, and been in multiple bands throughout my life. But all that, went on pause. All the recreational fun stuff, as I start to build businesses and brands, I'm like, oh man, I don't play guitar, I don't play the drums anymore. But it's all still in my house.
That's awesome.
Studio. It's just collecting dust.
I mean, I got to say, I had a drum set when I was like a kid. And my parents got rid of that within like the first week. They were like, this is just so terrible, so much noise. But I do have a guitar. I play it from time to time. I'm not good at all, but I do want to get better. So I do appreciate, musicians and the talent art of it. So that's cool. Well, you alluded to it, but I want to kick things off with a bang. And you talk about building businesses. You talk about, specifically like building brands. And I know you run a company called On Air Brands. I want to start there. Like, tell us about On Air Brands and who exactly you serve.
Yeah. I mean, On Air Brands was traditionally or started out as a traditional marketing agency. When I left corporate America after over 20 years, I was like, you would think I'm going to start a multimedia agency, but I didn't. I went into real estate investing. But then when I found out that community needed what I did for a living for 20 years, I opened it up because I had to start hiring people to help me build websites, do logos, branding, and social media marketing, and eventually podcasting. So that's what we did for years. And then the podcasting arm of the business started to grow relatively quickly, as you know, and everyone listening to this understands that podcasting is such a masterful sort of way to build connections and relationships and grow your business. So once we started doing that at scale, that's all we focus on now. And all that traditional stuff, became a commodity. All the logos and the website stuff just became, you can go anywhere for that Fiverr and get it for $1.
Yeah, very true. Well, I know a lot of the happy hustlers out there, they love podcasts. They are listening, to the Happy Hustle podcast, or maybe they're watching on YouTube. What's up, YouTube? If you're not watching YouTube, we got the video version. You can go to Cary Jack, the Happy Hustler, shameless plug, and watch it. You can see Erik's beautiful face. Got the nicest skin that I've seen in a long time on a male.
I need the beard though, man. I need the nicely groomed beard.
Well, yeah, I know. The beard is, I got to say, it gets a little unruly. You do got to comb it. Some people don't comb it, but I do have a comb right before. I'll give it a little brush right before I go live.
Well, what about oils? Do you put like some oils?
I put some stuff in it, but I'm not like one of those like fully lather my beard guy. But yeah, maybe one day. So maybe if there's a beard company listening, you can reach out, send me some stuff. I've had a whole bunch, but anyway, let's get back on track. So Erik, tell us, if you do want to start a podcast, like, because I know a lot of the happy hustlers do, what is like the first step? Like, how do you even determine if you should start a podcast and if your idea is viable? I mean, I just feel like there's a lot of confusion and misinformation in this space. So walk us through it as if we're beginning the journey. What's the first step?
I mean, the first question you'd have to ask yourself is, why do I want a podcast? Why should I create this? Because once you create it, it's going to become its own thing. And a lot of people who start podcasts, they typically pod fade, meaning they don't get past 8 to 10 episodes. And that's okay, right? But I'd rather you put some thought into it prior to getting into that game. So this way you have, you're setting yourself up for success. So you and I talk about, brands and personal brands and how important it is to come up with your core message and your pillars of content, so to speak. And if you have these things in your company, well, it's a little different unless you're creating a podcast for your company. So then that would be easier. You just leverage whatever core values your company and use that as content. But a lot of us start personal brands and we don't realize that. And the podcast kind of kicked off my personal brand several years ago. And there I knew my story, my core message, one of them being, I left corporate America after 20 plus years, and I'm looking for financial freedom. And, I'm a mindset and growth mindset. And there were a lot of things that I knew that I was going to talk about. So that's what I would recommend, Cary, is like understand and know who, like what you want to talk about, like what's going to get you up every morning, and then who you're talking to. Who do you want to serve? So that's mainly the stuff that will help you when creating a podcast.
Yeah, I think that's just so imperative to think through prior to press and record. Okay, what do you want to talk about, and who are you exactly talking to? Because again, you can't be everything to everyone. You have to be, very specific. You have to be niche. You got to go a mile deep and an inch wide, and that's where most businesses, most brands, if there is a disconnect between conversions and, really their target goals, it's like probably you're not being very specific with your target market and who you're serving. And you have to get back to, okay, how can you really serve your clients and your customers? And a podcast does just that. You're delivering value, and oftentimes it's free value, but you have to know who you're talking to. What do you recommend when you break down that process? Like when you're talking to, I know you do this consulting work for brands. What do you recommend as like the determining factors of who your audience should be and who you should really speak to?
Man, this is so good. Such a great question. And it's so funny because we're in the same space. So I'm talking with you, but I know that hopefully anyone in the audience, they're hearing it for the first time. If not, you're hearing it again and it'll resonate or stick. So that is basically you're talking to the version of yourself that existed years ago. The old you. So that's who I used to talk to. And I still do to a degree, but it's been years now since I left corporate America and built my own stuff. But I would attract a lot of people who wanted to leave their W-2s, or they wanted to make their side hustle more of a full-time, thing because they're passionate about it. I know this one guy who was my coworker for many, many years. He does woodwork on the side. He loves it. Make cutting boards and build things. He's like, dude, how do I make this my happy hustle? How do I make this the thing that will sustain and help me? I'm like, well, maybe you need to get in real estate first and create some passive income. And then you could start doing the stuff that you love to do. So that's mainly what I would say is like, start with talking to who you once were. And those people will be like, oh, damn, he's talking to me. He's talking to me. And it's like, really, you're just talking to, the previous, the one.
That's a really good point. I've heard it said like who you should serve is you 5 years ago. And that's, to echo your point, like everyone out there listening, all the happy hustlers, think about who you used to be and the problem that you had to overcome to get to where you are is often a really good starting place for you to build around. Right? You could build your personal brand around that problem that you used to face. And then you have a proven and tested way to overcome it. I'm curious, there is a lot of happy hustlers out there who are still like aspiring entrepreneurs. I know that there's a bunch of happy hustlers that are already entrepreneurs and out there getting after it. But for those people who are looking to really make that shift from corporate America or a W-2 salary or job into a life of entrepreneurship and uncertainty and happy hustling, what do you recommend? Like, what would you say to someone like that on the fence or in that transitional period?
So I jumped in head first, but I had safety nets in place. So if you have a full-time job that you're miserable in, I'm sorry. I mean, there were moments of times where I was miserable, maybe weeks on end where I would be miserable. But then, I would seek, video games or movies for escape. And, every once in a while, have a good conversation with my wife and realize why I'm doing all this, right? For our kids, for our family, all this stuff. But the thing is, you have to understand that like your goals can work if you put a plan in place, right? So I had a conversation with my wife before I left, and I said, hey, I'm thinking about just not going back to corporate America. What do you think? She's like, well, that sounds insane. You've done this before. I wanted to leave corporate America, bro. I was going to sell everything to become a poker player. Like I was crushing it in home games, and I thought I could be a professional poker player. So luckily she stopped me from doing that. I was going to sell everything. But she's like, okay, I've heard this before. What are you thinking about this time? And I said, real estate investing. She goes, where is this coming from? And then I showed her all the research. I told her the plan and the reason why, which was financial freedom, meaning all of our income. We did the math, and I'll share here with your audience. What does it take to sustain our lifestyle? Like when all the bills are paid, all the groceries, the mortgage, the taxes, what's our runway? Like how much money is that? It came to $87,000 a year. And I was like, okay, if I buy 8 homes, let's call it 10, which produced $10,000 of passive income, meaning I don't have to do the work for that money, the tenants pay. I'm going to do this 10 times. And she was like, this sounds like a decent plan. So she gave me the green light. The CEO of the household said, you go, I'll give you a year. And that's what I would recommend people, like find a solution that will give you an exit with a time frame attached to it and the capital that it takes to implement that plan and strategy, and do check-ins, right, to see if it's working, and surround yourself with people who are doing that thing that you want to do.
Yeah, great points.
All big stuff.
I mean, there's a number, like everyone out there has it right now. And Erik found his number for his family, that he needed to sustain the quality of life that he was living. And you have to determine what that number is. And oftentimes it's a lot lower than you think. That's the truth of the matter. It's like, I think a lot of people get really caught up on, I need to make $1 million or $1 billion or whatever the new fad is. But it's like, you really don't. To be happy within the hustle, you just got to figure out what is the number you need to live the life that you desire. And that's what I'm such a proponent of. I would rather have my time freedom than sacrifice my soul making more money. And it's like, and that was such a turning point in my life when I realized, oh, damn, I can have financial freedom, creative freedom, and time freedom by doing something I love if I structure my business effectively. And I work on my terms. And that's what Erik did with his real estate investing. And I want to stay here for a second because I know real estate investing is a great way to make passive income. And there's a lot of happy hustlers that are in the real estate game. Personally, I've been toying with the idea more and more about investing in some funds. And I have a whole bunch of friends in the real estate game. But I haven't dove too deep yet. Like I know a lot of my friends are big into apartments. They're owning multiple doors, multiple units, and they do say it's a great way for passive income. Now it does come with pros and cons, just like anything. Talk to us about some of the pros and then some of the cons of real estate investing, and just keep it real as you always do.
Yeah, I mean, some of the pros is obviously the passive income. So just a quick definitions. Most of us, the majority of us, especially throughout life, we have active income, right? We have to work for every dollar we earn. Where after I read the book Rich Dad Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki, I started understanding their assets and liabilities, and oftentimes our homes, our primary homes, the homes we live in, we look at it as an asset, meaning it makes money, but It doesn't make money. It sucks money out of you. It's a liability. Like if someone slips and falls on your sidewalk, they could sue you. Like that's a liability versus an asset where you actually produce income, meaning you have tenants or you turn into an Airbnb or you have a roommate where, you have enough roommates, you can literally live for free. Like you can have enough people paying you to cover the mortgage and the taxes. That's what a lot of people that I know do. It's called house hacking as well. So you could build a substantial portfolio by just buying like a house or two and it covering a majority of your expenses. Now to your point, Cary, which I love, is like, let's take, for instance, and I'm still on the pros and cons, but I'm going to get back to some of the cons, is you could, like, I'm into RVs right now. I'm obsessed with RVs. And I'm like, I fantasize. I'm like, what if we just sold it? Let's liquidate everything. Who knows what's going on in the world, right? I would just like to liquidate everything. I'm like, man, we would have a ton of cash. Let's just buy an RV for 50, 100K. And then go live off the fat of the land and travel from coast to coast. And we homeschool. So wouldn't that be amazing to teach the kids on the road, like go to like national parks and like actually touch and feel and learn on the job? So that's like exciting to me. Like who's to say, and I'm not saying to anyone out there, like, to do that, but if you feel that calling, like I've been feeling lately, you're kind of trapped. Like the house that we live in, it's a nice home, but you're in a box. And what I was doing, I was living in a box. And then I'm going into my car, which is a box. And then I was going to my cubicle, which was a box. And I'm like, I'm living in a box. And then I go back home and I watch TV and it's on a box. Like I had to break the cycle, right? Just break it all. So those are the pros. Like depending on where you are in life, those could be the pros. You get some freedom, like Cary said, your freedom of time, which as you get older, you realize that's the most valuable asset in my life is my time, because I'll never get it back. But some of the cons is there's risk, right? You could put, $50,000, $10,000, $50,000, $100,000 into something and it could tank if it has the wrong operators, the wrong people running that business. That's why you want to partner with and find people that have been doing it for years and they have an amazing track record. So I just surrounded myself with investors who had a reputation of building wealth for themselves and others. I don't take risks with people that don't have a track record or a reputation. So those are sort of the ways that you can counter the cons. Of investing.
I mean, and to your point, again, the RV life is awesome. Camper life. I did it I don't know if you know this, for 8 months with my fiance. We cruised all around the country. I had a 26-foot travel trailer that I pulled with my truck. I put my motorcycle in the back. It was me, Steph, and our dog. Yeah, we were just cruising all over. Nice. And, it's an awesome life, no question. I will tell you this, since we're doing pros and cons. Pros, freedom, you get to see the country, meet new people, experience new, experiences, right? Like there's a ton of pros. Cons, you're constantly searching for where you're going to stay, what are you going to eat, is it safe, where you're going to dump the RV camper toilet, where you're going to refuel, where you're going to get water, Wi-Fi. There's a lot of like little things that you don't think about until you get on the road, which is like, okay, if I'm really going to function and be productive, there's factors that there's like your basic needs have to be met. You have to get your campsite. And nowadays, like at the time of this recording, camping is very hot. There's a lot of people traveling and campgrounds are packed. So it's very difficult to find campers. I've actually toyed with the idea of buying a couple campers and just renting them out because it's such a very profitable, way to leverage your asset. There's a couple sites, one called Outdoorsy, that you can just rent your camper out. It's like kind of like Turo for your car, but like Outdoorsy for your camper. So I've been looking at a couple campers actually like last week, just to buy a couple of them, just have them be kind of cycling through like real estate, where you can get that passive income. Now there is, a portion of like real estate where you'll have to be active. There's a portion of, anything you do where you're going to have to be active to set it up. But once it's set up, it becomes more and more passive. And I think that's the beauty of, real estate. If someone was going to get involved in real estate and they're like, yes, this is the move, I want to do it. Well, what do you recommend in terms of like commercial or residential, or, like just like the first purchase, if they were going to make it, what would you say is, in terms of your expertise, the best move?
So there's two types of people, Cary, and thanks for that, man. Did you document while you were doing the camper?
I didn't mean to burst your bubble there,
RV
bro.
life?
You should still do it.
No. Did you document it? No, I still want to do it. No, but like you, I want to do it maybe for a long weekend. That's how I'll get my wife into it. Because I made the mistake of saying, let's do it for a year. She's like, oh, heck no. Are you out of your mind? So I'm like, maybe I should have just said a long weekend. And
rent an RV first, dude. Yeah, rent an RV first and go on a long
rent
a long trip,
100%.
A week or two. I documented some of it. I can give you info. We could talk more about it. But like for anyone who wants to do it, like I would, before you buy one, rent one, and then you can just see if it's something you really want to do.
Yeah, 100%. So I definitely got to talk offline about that because I made a mistake. I always pour it on too much with my wife and I scare her away. So your question was some of the ways that they can get into real estate investing if they're interested, and I'll just share my experience and depends on the type of person you are and also where you are in life, right? So typically there's two types of investors. There's the one who has, number one, time, and then the other one has capital, right? So you're either one or the other. Maybe if you have both, that's even better. But you're typically leaning more heavy in one or the other. So if you have time, meaning like you left your job or you're in transition and you want to get to learn about real estate investing, I mean, number one is I would join a community. Like Bigger Pockets we had mentioned prior to this is a great community online, has millions and millions of people sharing information for free. And you can find local meetups and start meeting people who are doing what you want to do. Now, you're going to probably find a lot of people who are trying to learn just like you. And those are great people because there might be someone who's the yin to your yang. So you'll show up at an event and be like, yo, bro, I got a bunch of time on my hands and I'm willing to learn and figure all this out. And they may have a lot of capital. They may have a lot of money and they're just there to look for where they could place it. So if you could couple up with someone who has the opposite of what you provide, then that's a great partnership, right? But then you also have to understand that you can't trust everyone, right? So you want to be able to go to a place, especially when it comes to money, you want to go to a place where there's reputations that are being built. There are people that know people. And then you can go to someone else and go, hey, I was talking to this guy, Gary. I was talking to Linda or whoever it is. Do you know them? And then you'll start to sort of do your own exploration and your own due diligence. So that's what I would recommend, is figuring out who you are on this journey. Are you the person that has time that you can invest, or are you the person that has money that you can invest? And then just pour in that way and start absorbing as much knowledge as you can in that bucket.
Good, really good point. The time or the capital, decide which one you have the most of right now, and then follow the path that Erik laid out. Get into meetups, figure out, where's your strengths, where's your weaknesses, try to find a yin to your yang, a counter partner who can support you and complement you, and do your due diligence. That's, I think, really important now with just any business, like any partnership. You have to do your due diligence. I made a mistake recently. I hired somebody who turned out to be a complete joke. It was a big mistake. I don't want to get into too many details, but let me just tell you, it was such a mistake that I had to like fire him like halfway through the gig and just waste a bunch of money and time. And it was embarrassing in front of my clients and happy hustlers. And anyway, you have to do your due diligence. And I think that's just a huge caveat there. You got to make sure with anything you guys are investing in, all the happy hustlers, if you're going to put your money into something like even like this anchor protocol and crypto and stuff like that, like you see, my friend was so bullish on, the anchor protocol, Cary, you got to put your money into this. And I was like, let me see. I read it. I looked, I was like, damn, that sounds too good to be true. 20% returns. And for those of you who don't know about this, it went to zero. Okay. The whole thing is like the whole crypto that was surrounding what this person was recommending went to zero, as a lot of crypto projects will do, as the NFT space has done. Most of the NFTs that people have spent hundreds of thousands of dollars on are worth nothing, because it's based on the greater fool theory, which is, who is the greater fool? Who can I get to invest more than I invested or buy higher than I bought, right? That's like, there's no intrinsic value to a lot of these things. So with real estate, there's real value. People can really live in there. It's it's an asset if you are looking at it as such. Now, your primary home, I get it, more of a liability, right? But the differentiation of the two is really important. So just kind of echoing some more points for you, Erik. Now, I want to take this,
brother,
and kind of do a little spin off, because when you're doing real estate, when you're doing a podcast, you need a personal brand oftentimes to build that trust. And this is something I know you're huge on. You talk a lot with your clients about building a personal brand. What is a personal brand, and who should have one? Let's start there.
Yeah. I mean, well, our mutual friend, and I'll call him our coach, says it well, in that, your brand, your personal brand, anything that you put out there is your online reputation. Rory Vaden says that all the time. Well, he says the digitization of your reputation. I like to simplify it and just say your online reputation. And it's the breadcrumbs that lead you or lead others to you and what you do and the value that you provide in other people's lives. So like, if you are a brand that's, sort of legacy, like Coca-Cola or like Nike, or even let's just say a mom and pop shop, an HVAC company that's been around for 25 years, but you don't have an online presence. Well, Cary and I can tell you, especially through brand builders, is that, and, soft plug for brand builders, is that you have to understand that the next generation that's coming up, Gen Zs and millennials, expect this mom and pop, this HVAC company, to have an online presence, an online reputation. If you don't, then they're going to go to the one that does. And that's a very simple solution and a very quick decision for them. So I'm always talking to people who are the boomers or the Gen X's of the world, which I am, that still view personal branding as a way to pound your chest, a way to brag. They don't view it as a positive thing. So they shy away from it. So what we always talk about, you and I, Cary and Rory and AJ, is that you have to. It's a necessity at this point. The data shows that if you don't have this, your business will fail in the next, I'd say, 10 to 15 years. But they say the people that are making all the financial decisions over the next 20 to 30 years are going to be the Gen Zs and the millennials. So why wouldn't you want to start laying the groundwork to talk to those folks and to let them know what you do and how you help them, regardless of what industry you're in? It could be real estate. It could be marketing. It could be, but whatever it is you do, you got to market it. You got to market, and you got to sell, right? You got to, it's critical for your success.
I mean, you nailed it. And truly, as they say, the better you market, the less you have to sell, and I think if you can market yourself effectively, right? If you digitize and you can monetize your reputation, well, then you will see the trust increase. And as Rory talks about, he says, reputation precedes revenue. So you have to actually think about, what do people say about you when you're not around? Are they giving you referrals? Dude, 90% of my business is referrals. And I'm sure you're probably in the same boat. Like, I mean, or you're close to it. Like, happy clients refer other friends and people that they care about. And if you're not getting those testimonials, those referrals, that social proof, and you're not leveraging it in your marketing, you're missing the boat. And I think right now, more than ever, you have to put yourself out there. You have to get away from that fear, like the compare and despair. Who am I to share my message, this person's so much more qualified. This person has done so many more real estate deals or bigger podcast or more social media followers. Like, we can talk ourselves out of any decision, truly. But you have to get past that fear. You have to have the courage to put yourself out there. You don't have to be posting the salad you ate, for lunch. Like, okay, like that's like, a facade that I think a lot of people, they think when they think like putting social media out there, no one gives a crap about, your salad, truly. But they do care about, how you can help them. And so think about how your content can serve, right? And get past that fear and start putting yourself out there. Start digitizing your reputation. Now, Erik, what would you say to someone who is, all right, convinced now that they need a personal brand and they want to go through the process with a strategy? Can you break down that process for us, like that strategy to really put yourself out there in the most efficient and effective way?
Yeah, I like to simplify things and so that's a little bit easier for people to digest, or at least to take the first step. And for me, it's always, every single conversation I have with a potential client is, okay, do you know what problem you solve? Do you know how you solve it? What's the unique way you solve it, and what's the result? You and I know about this whole structure, but let's go even before that. Like, that is a given. You have to understand what problem you solve and how you get them there. How do you give the results that you put out there, that you promote and you claim. Now, but the thing is, before that, if you're going to put yourself out there in terms of social media, a podcast, or go live, or just micro content, and you want to offer value to the world through that format, the pillars, going back to the top 3 things that you love to talk about, right? If it's outdoors, breaking from the rat race, leaving your whatever it is that you're super passionate about, identify that and talk about it ad nauseum, right? Gary V, we know. If you don't know, his name's Gary Vaynerchuk. And he talked about wine for dozens of years before he finally started talking about everything else, right? We talk about this with Sheehan's Wall. But the thing is, find out what your thing is. What are you sharing with the world? How are you helping them? And constantly put it out there. Consistency is key when you're trying to develop this online reputation of yours.
Yeah, you nailed it again. Getting clarity on the problem you solve, who you solve it for, your uniqueness, and your IP around it. And when I think about the problem I solved the problem of imbalance. Imbalance is the problem that I was struggling with as an entrepreneur. All I was doing was working. I burned out. I couldn't do it anymore. I created the Happy Hustle to solve the problem of imbalance, to help busy entrepreneurs achieve blissful balance, both personally and professionally. And then how do I do it? What's my IP? What's my unique special sauce? My 10 alignments, the soul mapping framework. Erik and I went through it on his show. You guys check out his new podcast if you want to hear it deeper. What's it called again? The new one, Erik? Be Your Brand.
Be Your Brand.
So
we'll put that in the show notes.
You have another one too, the Entrepreneur's Circle, which that's been long standing, but you have a new one. That one, we talked about it and we went through the framework, but that's how I identify the problem that I solve, who I solve it for, and my uniqueness. What would you say your problem is, Erik, and who you solve it for and your uniqueness?
Yeah, it's funny you ask. I was like, oh shit, he's going to ask me. The thing is, the reason I even joined Rory and the team was to gain clarity on this. Just as I'm speaking, to the audience here and to you out there, is that I built a personal brand over 4 or 5 years on my own. It's funny. Did I tell you this? That Rory and I spoke for, I think in 2018.
Oh, really?
And just when he was starting the company, I was like, I just plunked down a whole lot of money in real estate. So I don't have the 20 or 30, whatever it was at the time. And I was like, I'm just going to build it on my own. And I built it on my own with very little structure, but I knew that I had to have core content. It's evolved over the past, if you can imagine, 4 or 5 years, I've evolved greatly. So right now, and I'll tell you the work in progress that Jay, he's amazing. I'm working with Jay now, and he's one of the coaches. to help gain clarity on that brand. And I'm feeling really strongly about the fact that my audience, their first problem is rejection. Like, why don't they want to start a personal brand? Why don't they want to start a podcast? Because they have an overwhelming fear of rejection, right? So I'm like, man, I need to deal with that, because that's the barriers that I had to get past. Like, how do I deal with it? Well, number one is don't give an F. Don't care what people think. And then that will help you to get past this fear of rejection, and also understand and know that we're not living in the times of the saber-toothed tiger and being kicked out of the village and dying. If people reject you, what's going to happen? Yeah. You're going to be okay. You'll be fine. So the thing is, another solution to this problem is, how do we build our confidence? There's a lack of confidence because of the fact that, you know, you're fearing this rejection. What's going to happen? And then now I have to go hide in a corner and go cry on my pillow because everyone rejected me and nobody loves me. So this is the core that I'm working on, is like, how do we build your confidence? Well, one of those things and one of those solutions is micro wins. Like, you have to celebrate the little wins. And day by day, this stuff compounds and you start to gain confidence. And the confidence shows when you're speaking to someone, because now you collectively, over weeks, days, months, celebrate those wins. You know, I just got to say, we just got a client that's over 5K a month, which, you know, relatively high or low, depending on your business. But, you know, when you have dozens and dozens of clients that are paying you this amount, those are wins, right? But eventually you get numb to it. Like, I've gotten numb to it. I'm like, hey, celebrate a win, ring the bell, and then back to business, right? But if you collectively do this, you're going to be able to speak with confidence to those who are asking you the questions. You know, asking you stuff like Cary's asking you here, because then now you're like, oh man, I've been celebrating those wins, and now I built up this confidence, and now I can put myself out there. Now I can talk about those wins. So it's this whole sort of plan that I'm putting into play. And thanks for asking, because then I'm able to work it out in real time.
Well, I want to press a little deeper. Okay, so what's the one word problem, Erik?
Whoa, dude! I'm still working on that, but it's rejection. Okay. It's rejection. Yeah. It has to be rejection. It's rejection. It's rejection. Okay. The fear of rejection. But Jay, we got to send this to Jay, because then he'll be like, yes, because he's been pounding it into my head, and we've had hours and hours of conversations, and he's like, you know, dude, rejection is the thing that keeps coming up. And I'm like, oh, wow. Because, dude, that was me. I was the wallflower at the prom, or in a nightclub. And I was just, why won't I go talk to that girl who's looking at me? Why? Because, like, she's going to reject me. Maybe she's looking at the dude behind me. I don't know. So it's all that. It stems from rejection. And that's why we do nothing.
That's so true. Freeze. You said something. You said two things. One, you said we get numb to the wins. And this is so important. I'm all about celebrating the wins. I'm all about enjoying the journey, not just the destination. That's what the happy hustle is really all about. It's like being happy in the everyday hustle. And this is like, you just mentioned you got a new client. That's freaking awesome. I got to say, I just had an epiphany when you were telling me this. I'm numb a little bit to the wins. Like yesterday, just to keep it real, but I sold over 50 G's worth of products and services from some of my own, some of my other stuff. But it was like more like I was expecting that of myself. But now you saying that, I need to go get myself a beer or something nice, you know, because like that, you know.
Yeah. Go.
Yeah, well, she's out of town. I had my soccer game, and that was like, I love playing soccer. That was a celebration. But it's like, I don't want to ever get numb to the wins at any level, you know. And it doesn't. And wherever you're at, you just have to celebrate the wins. That's the first point. Second thing you said, rejection. Rejection is a part of the game. If you're serious about becoming a happy hustler, and you really want to break free of the shackles that society put on you and your employer puts on you and all these other time constraints, you have to be okay with rejection. You have to realize that it's part of the game. And I'll tell you this, I've been in the entertainment world for like 15 plus years. I get rejected every single day, or I used to, not as much anymore because I'm not doing it as much. But here's a crazy stat. At any given time, 97% of working actors or models are unemployed at any given day. Isn't that crazy? 9 out of 10 aren't working. So you think about the rejection in that industry. And that's what I was in. I was playing that game, man. I'd go on, hundreds of castings for the year and maybe book, dozens. And it's like constantly rejection. So I got really good with rejection. And now, hey, I'll reach out to somebody or there'll be a person who comes in or they don't want what I have. They say no. Okay, I keep on keeping on. And that's where you have to get to overcome that rejection. You have to be okay that you're not going to be everyone's cup of tea. You're just not. Your business, your product, your service, and that's cool. Some people are going to talk shit too. And I'll tell you that. Like, I've had more haters come out the woodwork recently, just randomest thing. And I'm like, I'm putting out like good vibes, I think, all the time, or happiness, happy hustle, this and that. But dude, people will try to knock on you. People will try to hate on you. It's part of the game, especially when you get to a bigger level. It happens, and you just have to choose to rise above it, vibrate at a higher frequency, and keep on keeping on. Well, what would you say is the remedy for rejection?
Yeah, I want to remind me that if I forget, because I wanted to highlight a couple of things that you said, which is really cool because it's playing out in real time again. Is let's get numb to the rejections, but not numb to the wins, right? Let's celebrate the wins. Like, get numb to rejection, not the wins. And the thing is, what's key about the celebrating the wins and the micro wins, I'm talking about the little stuff. You don't have to celebrate, wait for the big one. But the thing is, surrounding yourself with people who are confident and comfortable enough in their own success that they celebrate with you. Like, if you surround yourself with people, and this was my challenge, you celebrate a win with someone, they think you're bragging. They think there's something wrong with you. But if you surround yourself with a tribe of people that celebrate wins with each other, man, now, like, who do you call? Like, you get that 50K, like, who are you calling? Who's on the bat phone that you can be like, yo, man, I just celebrated. And they're freaking happy for you 100%. So that's the thing, is find those people. Find the people in the Happy Hustle tribe. Find the people that can lift you up on their shoulders and crack that beer open. And, when it's time for them to celebrate, you're happy for them too, because you're working on yourself and you're a happy person in general.
Remedy.
What was the question?
No, you crushed that. Remedy for rejection is what initially I was just, but you did, cover some of it, but maybe you can elaborate a little more.
Yeah, just building on that confidence. Surrounding yourself with people is huge. Like, yes, we could do so much alone, but at some point you're going to have to find those people that vibrate at the same frequency, and that you can just, when you need that shoulder to cry on. Like, dude, I cry in front of bros all the time. And it doesn't matter, man or woman or whatever. My business partner is a female. She hates it when I'm crying. And I'm like, enough already, bro. Slapping me around. But the thing is, it's like you have to find people that can also support you when you're feeling down. Now, I'm blessed that I put the work in each and every day. So when those moments do come, they're very brief. They're very brief. But if it sort of lasts for longer than a day, I'm calling somebody. I'm like, hey, man, help me work through this. And then they tell you, they know you long enough, hopefully. They're like, you do this, you do that, you crushed this, you crushed that. And they remind you of who you are when you get lost. So it's a tribe, man. Like what Cary has built is amazing. And I'm also part of other groups like that, where it's just positive people all the time. Makes you bulletproof.
Yeah. I mean, you got to really think about who's in your inner circle right now, like, and take stock of it. Are you rounding up or not? And it's like JLD from Entrepreneurs on Fire, he talks about, you are the sum of your 5 closest relationships. Right. And so just take a little introspection of, hey, right now, who's in your inner circle? Who do you connect with the most? And are they raising your vibration? Are they helping you, persevere past the adversity? Are they helping you overcome the rejections and just infusing that positivity? So really great points here. And I like how we covered, some really cool topics so far: the real estate component, podcasting, personal branding, mindset. Let's just give some people, like, where they can go to learn more about Erik, because I know people are probably like, hey, this is, a really cool dude. I want to actually dive deeper into your content and check out your podcast. And I know you have something special for the Happy Hustlers. It's a guide, I believe. Can you tell us about that as well?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if you want to find out more about what I do, I had to create my personal brand for that. And it all lives under Erik, E-R-I-K, Cabral at .co. So if you go to my website, that shows you all my brands and what I'm doing, and my podcast, the one that you referenced, Entrepreneur Circle, and eventually Be Your Brand. But also, I want to give to the listeners, for those of you out there who are kicking the can around the podcast and you're wondering why you should do it or how you should do it, go to the same URL, ericcabral.co/guide. And I talked to you about, all the podcast recommendations, what you should be doing, what you shouldn't be doing in the podcast. You don't need us. You could do this on your own as well. So hopefully this document's a free downloadable PDF. And actually, and I borrowed this from you, brother. When you were on my show, you were like, my time is like my most valuable commodity right now. And on there is my calendar. So same thing. Like if you actually feel inspired to chat with me, when you download the PDF, do that first. But yeah, you can schedule some time and we can chat about what you're trying to do and your goals.
Super valuable. Take them up on that, guys. Check it out, ericcabral.co and then /guide, GUIDE. Now, Erik, I do want to ask you some of the more traditional Happy Hustle questions. These are what I like to call Happy Hustle hacks, right? So it's a tip, a tool, a tactic, something in a different discipline that maybe you do that's a little unique. Let's first talk about health because, in order to happy hustle in any capacity, you got to have your health, right? Is there a happy hustle hack, maybe something you do in this arena that you could share with the happy hustlers?
Yeah, I'd call this less a hack because a hack to me is like short term. But if you want to do a long-term hack, my life changed when I started intermittent fasting. Intermittent fasting, I didn't know how long it would last. I think 3 or 4 years into it now, every day. But the thing is, if you are considering that, it may or may not work for everyone, but it worked for me. And I think there's a component to it that's that people don't talk much about, and it's the discipline. Like that was the biggest piece I got from it, was knowing that, okay, I just ate dinner at 7 o'clock. I'm not going to eat something at midnight. Like my window is closed after dinner. And dude, when people would tell me I had to fast and skip breakfast, which is my favorite meal, I love pancakes and eggs and sausages. So I'm like, I have no way I'm intermittent fasting. I got to skip breakfast. Is you crazy? And I realized, wait a minute, I can eat breakfast at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and that's what I do. Dude. I'll eat oatmeal the next day, like that's my first meal. So yeah, intermittent fasting has done wonders for me, man, in terms of
so
health
awesome.
hack.
To your point, again, like a brother from another mother, you're just a little tanner. I had pancakes, potatoes, and sausage and eggs yesterday at 2 o'clock. I do intermittent fasting literally at 2 o'clock. And so
good.
So this is, I don't eat in the mornings typically. I mean, unless I'm trying to bulk, which sometimes I do want to, put on some mass. I mean, I want to get to over 200 and I'm like at like 190 right now. And I'm like, I just want to get over 200 but still keep my lean, I don't know what I'm at, but around 10% body fat. Probably, another 10 pounds of muscle will get me there. So I have to eat in the mornings to get or else I just won't have the calories, but it's really, if you're trying to lose weight, right, you definitely intermittent fasting is the remedy. It's one of them at least. So, yeah. I wanted to sustain. I didn't do it to lose weight, and it became a lifestyle. The word diet, and which I'm glad that that's not in the term intermittent fasting. But like my father and the boomer generation and even Gen Xers associate that word diet with like a short-term thing. But intermittent fasting is literally it's a lifestyle. Like once you incorporate it, man, it is. Yeah. And you can do it just to sustain as well. That's a very good point. It's not just to lose weight, because I sustain very well with the intermittent fasting. Okay, let's talk about money, because I think this is really, sometimes it's a taboo topic, but I think you have to have money in the conversation when you're happy hustling. It's just a part of everyday reality. It's a currency. It's an energy, right? what would you say is a happy hustle hack? Something that you do maybe to save or invest or spend wisely that you could share with the happy hustlers?
There's a couple things. And one's a little more sophisticated, for lack of a better word, and the other one's a little more approachable. So for anyone out there who has a full-time job, or you've got a side hustle, if you can figure out a way to create a business on the side or full-time where you're creating passive income for yourself, meaning you don't do the work, someone else does it for you. So here's one hack, and this is a big one. I interviewed a guy years ago, this guy, Victor, and he said, I wish I had known this when I had a full-time job, because Cary, I was paid upwards, I'd say about 120 at my peak when I was $120,000 a year. And he told me that, hey, for any of you out there who has a job like that, you can literally start a business by hiring someone and pay them $40,000. There's someone who's young. There's someone who's hungry. There's someone who wants to do what you need them to do, and they can build your freaking company while you're working full time. That's insane. Now, it's not fully passive because you're going to have to be the visionary. You're going to have to be the one that's coming up with all the ideas. But if you can get someone that's an integrator or an implementer to implement your ideas, that's a serious hack. Now, you could do that at small scale, right? You can go create something and like sell stuff, like create an Etsy business, or create a business where it's not a big risk. You're putting very little capital in it, but someone else runs the show. Someone else reaches out and does the selling or the whatever it is building for you. But the other thing for anyone out there who has the capital and you've saved money and it's sitting in a W-2, in a 401k. For me, what I did was, as soon as I left corporate America, Cary, is I changed it over to a self-directed IRA, which means exactly what it sounds like. I have control over it. It's self-directed, which allows me to do what I want with it. So now I lend it to people. So when I read that book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, it broke my mind open. Like, wait a minute, the goal in life is to become the bank. Meaning now, what does the bank do? They lend money out all day long and they charge us interest. They put a mortgage note on our homes and they charge us interest, and then they go sell it and they make money on the spread. So I was like, wait a minute. People can play by the same rules, but just do it carefully. Go to a financial expert. Don't listen to me. I know that I do it because it's my community. I trust the people that I lend my money to, and I charge them interest for it, like the bank would. And that is perfectly okay. Like, when you come from a world where that's not common, it sounds shady, but it's legit. Like, that's how the rich people operate. That's how the 1% operate.
Yeah, it's definitely,
bank.
You have to think like a bank. I just recently dove deeper into the world of life insurance. I don't know if you're familiar with like a whole life policy that you can leverage like a bank. So I have, exactly.
Infinite
so
banking,
I have one of those now that I get, I think 5% interest on my money, but I can withdraw up to 90% and still have all the benefits. And there's a lot there. Yeah. If you, again, I'm not an expert, and I recommend consulting experts. My buddy Garrett Gunderson talks a lot about whole life insurance. He is an expert, financial expert. My brother-in-law, Nick Hernandez, is an expert with Northwestern Mutual. But you got to find the right people who you trust to build out your asset allocation, your 401k, your IRA, all the different things. I think it's just important to think like the bank, though, is a really good way to encapsulate everything you just said and more. Let's talk about spirituality. I think spirituality, it's one of those things with, happy hustling. It's a part of the framework. You have to have faith in something bigger than yourself. I don't care what you believe in terms of religion. It's just having faith, having a practice that you can connect deeper to a higher power. What would you say is a happy hustle hack in this arena that maybe you practice that you could share with the happy hustlers?
Yeah, absolutely, man. Thanks for asking. I don't think a lot of podcasters ask about this part, unless you're in a different type of, Christian based or some other type of podcast, but I don't frequent those. Maybe I should, but, the hack for me is when I incorporated, prayer, meditation, yoga, or whatever it is in the morning, that I can, just spend time with myself, spend a lot of time with myself. That's when that changed the game for me, because I went through life never doing anything of that sort, especially on a habitual sort of daily practice. So once I started doing that, and I think it's been about a couple of years now, where I spend time with myself and I do the deep work, where I communicate, with the source, or I communicate with, whatever you want to call, God or the universe. And it's given me a higher purpose. And that's how I found my mission. My mission at first was to make money, and I need to survive. I need to eat. I need to put food on the table. And then eventually it evolved to, I got to take care of my family, right? I got financial freedom for my family. And then I could, don't have to work as hard and spend time with them. But it had to be more than that. And the higher purpose, like you said, and the faith and knowing that there's something bigger out there, came to me one morning through meditation, that my goal at the time, now my company's mission, is to change the world, or to make the world a better place, one mic at a time. And you think it's through podcasting like this, yes, but it's also the fact that I introduce Cary to someone and he'll be on that podcast or speak on this stage. Remember, we were going to work together. You were going to speak on one of my stages. There's a microphone on the stage. There's so many ways to amplify and utilize this tool. And that became my mission. Make the world better, one mic at a time.
Yeah, that's where a lot of the downloads happen, when you're quiet, when you're still, when you're tapping in. And if you're not doing that, you're just caught up in the grind, and you just don't actually have time to download and reflect. And it's tough. Don't get me wrong. Like, there's days where I know my meditation practice, or I'm big into I am mantras, and I like training my subconscious. So I have my I am mantras in the morning and in the evening that I go through. And then I have my breath work and my Tai Chi practice, and more so like my martial arts practice that helps center me and get my chi flowing properly. But I think you have to have something, whatever works for you is what you need to do. And you'll experiment, right? You'll find something that works. And then maybe some things that don't. And then you just do more of the things that do, right? So great points there, Erik. Man, this was awesome. Yeah. I want to put you through the rapid fire round. And this is where I just ask you, random things, and you answer honestly. First thing that comes to mind. And then we'll wrap this interview up. Okay. Are you ready?
All right. I hope I don't get myself into trouble.
Yeah, right. All right. Favorite food, go. Oh,
Spanish food.
Favorite movie?
Ooh. The Abyss is a movie that I used to obsess on. I still love that movie, if anybody's ever seen it. 1989, James Cameron, before Terminator and Avatar. He made a movie called The Abyss.
All right. Favorite book?
I've referenced it multiple times here, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. I wouldn't say I've read it multiple times, but it changed my life. But yeah, there's a book called Green Lights by Matthew McConaughey that I'll probably listen to multiple times.
Yeah.
And don't read that book.
Yeah, he's good.
Listen to it. You're doing yourself a disservice if you don't listen to it.
That is a good one. Awesome. Favorite workout?
Whew. I'm enjoying running and biking lately. Although, I need a gym. I need to get to the gym every once in a while. But running, it's kind of a form of meditation.
For sure. Best business advice?
Find people on your team that will hold you accountable. If you surround yourself with yes men and yes women, you're not going to grow. So find someone that's going to actually put your feet to the fire.
Yeah, that's good. What's your spirit animal, Erik?
I want to say something cool like a bald eagle. But I'm loyal, man. I'm loyal like a pup, man, like a dog, like a golden retriever, man. Once I find people I love, I just love on them and just want to lick them. Like when I met you, I was like, give me a hug. Give me a hug, bro.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah. 3 things you're most grateful for.
The opportunities, number one, my family, the opportunities that always seem to present themselves. And I would say my faith, finding God and finding that source that, like you said, get the downloads. When it goes too long, I feel lost. So I try to make that a daily habit.
That's awesome. Ritual. And if you had one billboard for the world to see with your last piece of content, Erik, what is on that billboard?
Yeah, I shared it with you to make the world better, one mic at a time. And I wish and hope, and I would say billboard or gravestone, he did it. you accomplish, made the world better.
Oh,
So yeah. Thanks for that question.
Love that.
It's awesome.
Crush that rapid fire round, Erik. And brother, I just want to take a moment to acknowledge you, man, for sharing your love, your light, your wisdom with the Happy Hustlers and myself, and just for, being you, being true, like doing your thing with on-air brands, your podcast, making the world better one mic at a time, helping other people step into their power with their personal brands, showing people what's possible with passive income and real estate. You're very multi-talented, and I appreciate you and our friendship. And I'm just always here to support you, brother. And I just appreciate you rocking the mic today. So thank you.
Thanks so much, brother. Thanks for having me.
Now, last question. Okay. And before I do, I want to check him out at erikcabral.co, and then get that guide. You can do /guide. And then, is there anywhere else that people should follow you, Erik? Like online, are you just Erik Cabral on Instagram and Facebook and stuff? Or
yeah, that's the best place. I mean, if they want to reach directly, email is Erik, ERIK, at onairbrands.com.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, so if you guys are thinking about starting a podcast, or you have a podcast and you want to offload some of that post-production, Erik and his team are best in the biz, on-air brands. You can check them out. And then you can pick up that guide, erikcabral.co/guide. Now, Erik, final question. What does happy hustling mean to you?
Like you said, man, create balance in your life. You want to crush life in business and family and love on people. You got to strike that balance. So that's thank you for putting that out there. Thank you for everything you do, brother, because it's necessary with the culture now of just focusing on the hustle and not the happy. So I appreciate you, man.
Thank you, man. Erik Cabral, y'all. Thank you for watching and listening. We are out. Peace and love, everyone.